I am going to be bringing out a new book, and my new book is called Being Dragged Across the Carpet by the Cat, as you do. Okay? It's a book all about death and stuff like that, and death and more death. So there's a lot of death in it. So this probably will explain the rather weird title. Being dragged across the carpet by the cat. You fall on the floor. Carefully I brush you up. Return to your urn. You sit upon the mantelpiece, gazing at the setting sun. Thank you. The same lady gave us a lot of trouble when we were trying to get rid of her ashes. We were all in ugly white shirts, and I was doing the Tempest, and I was saying, now to the elements, be free. And I threw her away like that, the wind changed, and she came back and stuck on all the shirts and all that. And then the cat dragged her across, oh, it was terrible. We just couldn't get rid of the woman at all. Nellie used to be really mad at my Uncle Mikey because she used to say, will you stop feeding that child all that nonsense? Can't you see he believes in every word you say? And it was a great day. I'm now filled with the most delightful nonsense after 50 years, all thanks to my Uncle Michael. So he's probably the person you've got to give out to about me becoming a poet. This is called Uncle Michael alias God. This is about my uncle's farm down in Ballet near Carrigaline. It's sort of my Fern Hill. It was glorious, magical, wondrous times. This is a mythical place for all those Dempseys, even now. The place is in a ruin, but in our minds it's a glowing, living, gorgeous place. Uncle Michael, alias God. His hands, tobacco-stained, twisted and gnarled, knotted like an alive piece of wood. Scrawled gestures across my mind as the sick calf booked in his arms and his quiet strength calmed. Shh, shh, suck, suck, he crooned, and the sound soothed us. And the veins like vines ran up and down his arms, pumping crude life like a sudden sketch to suggest the gist of, rather than the meaning of things. And he walked and I ran towards Granny's garden like God tending Eden. And the gate, a little horse sighed at his hand, and the leaves murmured like worshippers in a church congregation, and the sunlight genuflected through the trees, and the trees wore socks and apples. A tablecloth was laid on a loganberry bush, and the young tree gave herself to him, broke tenderly in his hand, and the knife whistled and whittled, and out of the branch came a man. And he told me, and I believed him, because he was good as God and strong, that the little wooden man, the silent statue, had been waiting all the time already made, waiting to be released from his prison of wood. All things, he whispered, all things are waiting for you to call them to come out, awake them, create them. The rhododendrons were blue with amazement. At this revelation, a dragonfly walked upon the water. A butterfly became infatuated with a flower. Me, I watched as his hands talked, explaining things that could not be said. And he took my hand in his, and I understood, flowed like a little stream into his big river, felt God close, near at hand, and smiling. This is called Goodbye to the Circus. My Auntie Nellie was a terrible thing, a spinster, and being a spinster was a terrible thing to throw at somebody. She had put herself up on the shelf, rejected all comers, and then found herself left up there and didn't have any relationships, died a very lonely woman. And when we kids used to come down to her, she used to keep us. We had this beautiful farm. She wouldn't let us out the door, she wouldn't let us visit the neighbours. We were like prisoners. And she'd always compete with us. And if we were writing something, she'd come and show us her 12-year-old handwriting that the teacher said was fantastic, and she was in open competition with us kids. So, a very strange woman altogether. There's a book, I don't know if anyone's read it, called Island by Aldous Huxley, one of my favourite books. When I was 9, that was when I didn't read it, because my auntie gave it to me. I was a dyslexic 9-year-old who could hardly read anything. And all through the years I tried to read it, and anytime I came to read it then, and when I was a young man, I used to always cry and put it down, and I didn't get to read it until about a year ago. So, goodbye to the circus. Oh yeah, if we ever done anything bad, she said, "What did you say? What was that?" Because we'd all be singing "Oh Nelly the Elephant" to her. And so it begins goodbye to the circus. Oh, Nelly the elephant packed her trunks and said goodbye to the circus. Off she went with a clumpety clump, 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 clump. The head of the herd was calling far, far away. Auntie Nelly died of drink, loneliness and whatever, not necessarily in that order. On the farm that was her young days, summer holidays, cast her youth like so much pig slop to the squelching grunt of cow dung days, moo cow lowing years, until the dust collected and settled in the corners no one could reach. Time left her like a holy picture high above the mantelpiece. See the children take the coloured cards in their hands, go play fish in the pool, scream snap, laugh at who is left to be old maid. Not me, not me. Time never took her hand like a lover's touch. Time only waited for her. In her loneliness she read and reread and lived on Aldous Huxley's island. She said, this said, everything. Years later, when she reads like a fictional character in someone's story, when time no more mattered, I travelled to her island and touched her loneliness, felt her longing. Auntie Nelly died of drink, loneliness and whatever, not necessarily in that order. Said goodbye to the circus, calling far, far away. Thank you. Oh, sad Valentine's for breakfast. Oh my, how Redcock struts, thinks he's a sultan, striding in and out among his harum-scarum hens, talking to themselves like some lost, senile, sentimental souls. Foolish fowl, they lay eggs for gentlemen and kids on long, hot summer holidays. They hide their eggs like broken hearts, like old love letter secrets, safe in unseen places. But see Auntie Nelly, willy-nilly as a fox, stalk the chickens and expose them, cruel as the news of the world. See her raid the haystacks, backseat of the old car, rain rusting machinery, her apron pregnant and precious with the warm and brown gift of eggs. Red cock crows loud against the morning marigolds, while children's voices babble sleepily into wide wakefulness, love letter secrets staining their lips, sad Valentines for breakfast.